What up, guys? No shave November. Woo, look at Scruffy. Anyways, so my brother took my R1 home the other day. He was gonna paint it for me, do a little touch-ups on it, on the paint. And he got home. He called me. He's like, "Hey, man, your bike handles way better than my bike. I don't understand how the bike can be a heavier bike on paper, and essentially just a heavier bike because he's got an 05 R6 and that was an 08 R1." And he was like, "I don't understand why it tips in and handles better than my R6. Shouldn't the R6 handle better than the R1?" And I was like, "Well, yes and no. It just depends on the setup of the bike." So I was like, a lot of things play into that. And a lot of people, especially people that have never been on a bike or haven't been on a bike that handles extremely well, it's really hard for them to differentiate when they get on a bike that doesn't handle well. So I've been on a lot of bikes, and like people's first bikes are terrible at handling. I get on them and I'm like, "Man, you really ridden this bike around? It's awful." And they're like, "Oh, it feels fine to me." It feels fine because they don't know any different. They don't know that it's not handling like the way it's supposed to. So I wanted to point out a couple things on his bike that I'm gonna help him fix, and and the bike should handle a lot better. And I just kind of wanted, I felt that, I should put this out there and share with people that these small changes make huge differences when it comes to a bike's handling and the way it rides. All right, so right here, the first thing when I walk up to the bike, I noticed, and look at the bike, everything looks okay. But right here on the fork tube is flush, and it shouldn't be. So the fork seals were redone, and whoever put the forks back in were didn't let the fork come through enough. So these caps should be sticking up, and probably about 1 or 2 millimeters above the top of the clip-on here, because this one has a clip-ons mounted on top. It's an older bike. But if you actually wanted the bike to tip in easier, feel lighter, handle better, what you would actually do is you lower it through the triple trees by about 5 millimeters. 5 millimeters doesn't seem like that much, but it changes huge feelings in the bike. And I mean very large scale. Does 5 millimeters up or down in the front, it changes a lot, and you'd be really surprised at how much it does. I mean, you can feel free to try it. You're going to loosen up like this bolt here, and you're going to loosen up, there's another bolt here. So these two bolts here on the top part of the triple tree, and then in the lower part of the triple tree down here, you're going to loosen up these two bolts, and you're going to allow the fork to slide through just that 5 millimeters. Some people even go 10 millimeters, just really depends. Oh, hang on. Alright, so my stuff was still on my phone, doing a quick video. So some go through 5 millimeters, some even go through up to 10 millimeters, and that just, it affects the way the bike tips in, handles, how light it feels. One of the other things that I saw about the bike is the tire wear. Now the tire is at 36 psi, so that's good enough for the street. But I noticed that there's a little bit of excessive wear. You can see right here that the tire wear is here is lower than what it is in the middle. And whenever you have that, that's an indicator that the tire was ridden on with low pressure. Now the front is going to be the largest contributor to how the bike handles and feels. So when you're looking down the front, you can kind of see that it's kind of flat spotted here and flat spotted here, and the tire is not round anymore. And this isn't really a great tire for the street anyways. And it's a really, this one's really an older, like bottom level tire, bottom tier tire. It's a Dunlop qualifier. So we're gonna put a better tire on here, and what that's gonna do is it's gonna get rid of this bad curvature that he's got going on, because this causes a problem. Other than that, I mean, there's really not a whole lot that's going to change and how the bike feels. As long as the suspension is right and the tire pressures are right and the tire is a good tire, then it should handle pretty well. The other part is going to be the rear shock. Now, this one does not have a lowering link, and I hadn't checked yet, but it does have the proper dog bone on it. So the 05 came with a shorter dog bone than the 03, 04s, or the shorter triangle, which raised the rear of the bike. So all in all, the bike is, other than that, pretty set up. But I felt like I should share, the fact that just the tire pressure, the shape of the tire, the maintenance of the tire, and the height of the forks will really change the dynamics bike handles. And so those few things are actually extremely important when it comes to how the bike handles. So just make sure that y'all's stuff is up to par. It's the way it should be. And if you have any questions, hit me up, let me know.